Man,
welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa,
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs. All right, welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. Patrick Allen here with you for our Chiefs post-game show. The Kansas City Chiefs victorious 27-17 over the New England Patriots, who are having a bad season there in New England, dropping, I believe, to 3-11. Who would have thought that about a Bill Belichick team? We're going to get you a good breakdown of this game. Sports Illustrated's Matt Verderame is going to be joining me in just a moment. Look, after 2 straight losses, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're gonna take this. You're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like a lot of the things that happened in this game. Although I do think there were some silver linings and some good things that we saw. But unfortunately for the Chiefs, the problems that they've been having all season long persisted in this game. Bad penalties, bad drops and turnovers, drops leading to interceptions. We saw it again. If you just glance at the box score in this one, Patrick Mahomes, 27-37 for 305 yards, average 8.2 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. One of those picks wasn't his fault. Now, keep in mind, this is a Patriots defense that is quite good. They've been top of the league over, I believe, the last month or so, they said on the broadcast. And the Chiefs did a pretty decent job. They racked up 326 yards. But again, it's not about when you're watching this Chiefs team, it's not about the fact that it's not that there isn't talent there, right? I mean, there are some problems with talent, but it's not that the offense can't produce or move the football. They've got Patrick Mahomes, they've got Travis Kelce, they got Andy Reid, they've got Rashee Rice now who's emerging. That's a silver lining. But the things that have been holding them back all season long, and these are going to be the things that eventually end their season if they can't fix them, are the penalties, are the drops. And it's just, at this point, I mean, I've been pretty optimistic about this team. It's Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes, like they're going to fix it, they're going to find a way. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. As Matt Verderame joins us. Verderame, we were just talking through it. This is kind of like a take your medicine game. If you're a Chiefs fan, it's good for you. It's a win. You needed it. You had to have it, but you don't necessarily enjoy it going down. What were your thoughts on this game? Will the Chiefs ever figure out their offensive woes this season?
No, they're just not that good. Like, I think we're to the point now. We just they are what they are. They're good. Like, they're good by NFL standards. Like, they're a good team by their standards. They're not a good football team. Yeah. Their lack of ability offensively is stunning. I mean, it is a stunning failure for everybody on that offense today, not named Rice and CEH. I mean, they're all terrible. I can't get on Mahomes. The first pick's on Mahomes. That's just you can't throw the ball there, man. You just can't do it. The second pick it's almost like a cartoon at this point. Watching this, I mean, it's a joke how bad Kadarius Tony is. I don't want to go too far down the negativity. I mean, they won the game or anything else, but look, let's just call a spade a spade. We want to be honest. They stink on offense. They stink. This is an offense that. It's got to be a quick throw to Rice. It's got to be an off-schedule play by Mahomes, or they got to run the ball because they can't do anything else. I mean, even Kelce today. Ball's right in your hands, man. It's a touchdown. You got to catch the ball. He's been great for him for a decade. I'm not going to see him rip Travis Kelce, but You got to catch it. The penalty on Rice in the first drive of the game. I don't think it was a great call, and to be perfectly honest. But it just continues a trend of they take penalties and they can't get out of their own way. And Juwan Taylor takes a penalty and Juwan Taylor gets beat for a sack later in the game. And then even in the third quarter, which was their best quarter of the game, they fumbled the damn ball twice on the same possession, and Kelce drops a touchdown pass. And listen, can we forever put to bed the idea that the officials are rooting for one team or the other? I mean, the officials were awful in this game on both sides. Skyy Moore was bailed out by the biggest phantom call in the world. Rice was not held on that play. They get a call that bails him out. My biggest takeaway from this, if they don't bench Tony and Moore, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're really to a juncture. They shouldn't play another snap the rest of the year. Either one of them.
Yeah.
Play Montreal Washington, play Justin Ross, play Richie James more, any of them. To trot those guys out there is to light a bomb and just run around with it and hope that it doesn't go off because the fuse is faulty. I mean, you are begging for a catastrophe every single time they have the ball anywhere near them. It's crazy, but they just keep doing it. I mean, he was right back out there after he fumbled the ball and turned it into a pick. He was right out there again. Never stops.
I'll tell you what I think they should do with Kadarius Tony. As I was sitting there and I watched him,
son.
Yeah, right. As I watched him drop another ball that hit him in the hands and get intercepted, I thought I was about to tweet sort of hey, you know what? Accountability is important. Just cut the guy. Just cut him. And it's accountability for everybody, right? If you do that, if you're Brett Veach, saying, hey, I messed this up. I messed it up. I'm taking accountability. He's taking accountability. We're gonna set a tone. We're gonna send a message that you need to produce or you don't get to stick around. But then the more I thought about it, I believe his contract is coming up. So I would just, if I was the Chiefs, I would stop using Kadarius Tony at wide receiver completely. And I would use him out of the backfield a handful of plays a game. That's it. That's the only time I would use him, because they used him a little bit that way and he was a little bit effective. And, you need to be able to produce on the ground. You need to be able to keep teams a little bit off balance, but he just can't be trusted with anything else. But instead of cutting him, I say keep his athleticism, and maybe he can make a couple plays happen for you in those types of situations where yes, he could still fumble the ball, but I'm with you, man. Skyy Moore shouldn't see the field again.
Patrick, I'm to the point. Seriously, just bench them both. I don't even want to see Tony on a jet sweep. I don't want to see him on a bubble screen. I don't want him anywhere near a live football ever. I am to the point you know what? Accept what it is. He stinks. He cannot play. It's not a personal attack. It's just facts. He cannot play. He is a net negative when he's on the field. Why do they continue to trot this guy out there? This is the same conversation we had 2 years ago when they played Sorensen and Neiman nonstop. And I said here on this pod 2 years ago, look, if you're going to keep putting these guys out here and put them in these positions to fail, that is a team problem. That is no longer the player's problem. That is a team problem. This is a team problem at this point. It is clear and obvious they cannot function as NFL wide receivers.
Yeah.
And yet, they are out there all the time. What did Richie James do something to Andy Reid we should all be aware of? Put Richie James out there.
Yeah.
The guy had 600 yards last year with Daniel Jones. If you adjust that for an actual receiver, he had 2,800. Okay, why does he not play when we just watch this complete tire fire over and over? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Skyy Moore, he had one target today, did he not?
One target, no catches.
He fumbled the damn ball. It's unbelievable. You would think if you're one of those two guys, your only thought process would be, I can't make a game-killing mistake. I am about ready to be unemployed. I need to catch the ball. Nope, nothing. Just hey, I'm going to pop the ball up again. I'm going to fumble it again. And again, we talk about this every week. There is zero accountability for this. Nothing. Because God knows we're not going to get a quote out of either one of those two guys after the game today.
Yeah.
We're going to hear how they're this close to fixing it. And then next week, on Christmas, no less, can't wait, we're going to get, hey, here's Skyy Moore on a choice route. Hopefully he reads the defense the same as Mahomes. My God, nail them to the bench and be done with it. And it's Richie James or McCole Hardman when he gets right, or Justin Ross when he's active. If they can't play better, fine, at least you tried. But stop trotting the same guys out there and thinking that something's going to change when you've watched 14 games of this calamity over. It's like watching Titanic and hoping the ending is different. Guess what?
Yeah.
Leo's still going down.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to end. Like, to continue to do this, it's like watching that movie and going, maybe they get lucky this time. Maybe they miss the iceberg. You're not missing the iceberg.
Yeah.
You're going to hit it. Stop playing them.
The sad thing is Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this game had a better catch than Skyy Moore, MVS, Kadarius Tony have had all year.
Willie Gay had a better catch than they had all year.
Yes, he did. He did. It is, and look, I know it's a win, so look, it's a victory party. We want to be celebrating, but just like the Chiefs, on this podcast, we have championship standards, and we're analyzing the team through the lens of the expectations for the team. The expectations for the team is not to get to the playoffs and lose in the divisional round or find a way to claw their way to the AFC Championship game and get blown out by a better team. The expectations for this team are to win a Super Bowl, and they have a lot of the components that they need to win a Super Bowl, but they have some fatal flaws. And that's why we're going to talk about that, because it's not going to do us any good to sit here and delude ourselves into thinking that this was a good performance from the Chiefs. There were good parts of it, for sure.
No question.
Yeah,
I mean, let's talk about that. I thought in the second half, defensively, they were great. The first half of the game, Bailey Zappi was giving it to him pretty good. Second half of the game, Bailey Zappi did absolutely nothing. I thought overall, Rashee Rice, again, stopped fumbling it. He had the ball in the wrong hand, but he had 9 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Overall, look, you got to be thrilled with Rashee Rice this year. I thought defensively they did a very nice job getting pressure throughout the game, especially as it went on. I thought that they, frankly, I thought Mahomes, I think you look at his stat line and go 2 picks. I thought he played really well. The 1 pick is on him, and he cannot throw that ball. But other than that, look, I thought he played very well. CH had a great game. You want to give him his credit. The Chiefs do a lot of things well. That's why it's just so infuriating. That's why. Because you look at this team and you look at this conference and go, my God, if they could execute it all, they'd go back to the Super Bowl. Like, I see a lot of people, and I totally get it in the chat, who are like, it's a wild card exit. Listen, that could absolutely happen. But if you're honest with yourself, and this is why I'm so annoyed with them, they could win the Super Bowl, this team. If these receivers could do anything but be a net negative. Now, you could sit there and say, hey, but Matt, they're not going to be anything but a net negative, and that's fair. And I can't argue that. Yeah. That's completely reasonable. But my point is, you don't look at the AFC and see anybody who's demonstrably better than them. There's nobody in the AFC who my God, they just outplayed Buffalo a week ago. It wasn't like you watched that game and went, oh, Buffalo's just better than them. They weren't better than the Chiefs. The Chiefs beat themselves every possible way in that game. Now, again, this is who they are right now. But that's why it's so frustrating. If we watched this and we were just like, look, man, they're just not any good, you live with it. What are you going to do? They're just not that good. They have a Super Bowl caliber defense. They have a Hall of Fame tight end. They got a Hall of Fame coach. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback. They got a good line. They got a great couple of backs. Like, they got a really good young rookie receiver. This is not a team you look at and go, oh, there's just no hope. If there was no hope, I wouldn't even care. But like, the reality is, you do have to look at this and go, look, it's great that they won. They played very well defensively. That's excellent. But to watch it and say, hey, look, what are you going to do? We can't fix it. Like VJ says, these are 2 of the most negative people I've ever seen. They weren't saying, what about Tony when he was the Super Bowl, when he was winning the Super Bowl off that punt and touchdown. He's having a bad season. Get over it. Bro, I'm not getting over it. He stunk for 14 games. Yeah. Like, I don't care that he caught the most wide open touchdown in the world in the Super Bowl. Okay, you could have caught that touchdown. That's great. That's great. Congratulations. He had a great punt return in the Super Bowl. And listen, everybody in the world gives him all the credit in the world for that. But like, man, I don't care. It's 14 games ago.
Yeah.
Okay? At some point, like, you got to produce. Let's be real here.
It's not like this guy has a long history of,
He's not Travis Kelce.
right? And he's
Like,
just
what are we
having a
talking
bad
about?
stretch of games, and we're crapping on. He's never been good. He made some plays for this team last year, helped them win a Super Bowl. That made the trade worth it, no matter what happens from here on out. But this is this season. Like MVS, they probably don't get to the Super Bowl without MVS and him being basically heroic in the AFC Championship game last year. That was great. I'll always love MVS for that. This year, he's toast. Toast. Can't do anything. Can't run routes. Can't catch the ball. Can't get open. That's it. That's what it is. We're talking about this year. Just a couple super chats to get to. Shout out to Graham Oldfather for the super chat. Appreciate your support. Shout out to our guy Rhett. Says, nice to get the W, but that performance still wasn't good enough. What's a bigger disappointment? Our overpaid right tackle or our overpaid or our receivers? Boy, Jawaan Taylor, people are just done with Jawaan Taylor.
He's not been good, man. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like, and I've been a big defender of like, hey, listen, when he's been out there and he hasn't been taking penalties, he's played pretty well. The last month, it's not even that. Like he's just getting torched over and over. I honestly wonder if they're going to cut him after this year. Like I don't think they do it, but and we talked about this in my super followers chat. In fact, I think it was a buddy of mine, Lucas, who brought it up. I want to give him credit. There's a date in March where like a lot of his money guarantees for the second year. I wonder if they just release him. I don't think they'll do it, but it's not impossible, especially the way Wanya Morris is playing. He gave up a sack day, but on the whole, I thought he did okay. Quite honestly, a lot of the pressure was coming from Trey Smith, who got smoked today over and over and over. And I'm not going to get on Trey. He's played very well this year. He did not play well today. Look, I mean, Jawaan Taylor is just a human yellow flag at this point. And if he's not taking a penalty, he's just giving up a sack. It's been pretty rough.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I'm encouraged by Wanya Morris. He's got some things he needs to work on, but like you put a lot of rookie third round picks out there, and when they're not ready, and they're going to be bad, like really bad, like a huge problem. And a lot, I have to go back and watch the tape, but a lot of what I noticed in this game was they seemed to have a lot of confidence in him. I didn't think that they were helping him quite as much as they had been in the earlier games. He was on an island a few more times. He does seem to get a little slow. He's susceptible to a speed rush on the outside. He's had a little bit of problem with that. It's something he's got to work on. He's got to kick out a little bit better. But by and large, he's done a pretty good job stepping in here as a third round pick. That is really exciting if you're the Chiefs, because you got Donovan Smith, who's played okay. You could look at bringing him back. You could draft somebody else. You've got some options if you've got one good young cheap tackle there for the future. So another silver lining there is, and we got to talk about him, is Rashee Rice. I mean, what can you say about this guy? He's just continued to come along. Nine targets in this game, 9 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. He's good with the ball in his hands. And I've seen a lot of people say, the only way he can do anything is if they scheme him open, because he catches a lot of bubble screens and things like that. But he made some nice plays down the field in this game too. In particular, when Mahomes was in trouble and got the ball to him and he caught that ball for a first down, had to go down and get it. He's doing a nice job. You worry a little bit about the fumbling occasionally there, but you'll take it with this group of people. He looks like Randy Moss out there compared to the rest of them. Looks like we've
No, we're good. I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. I muted myself because I'm writing a little piece right now. Yeah. I mean, look, Rashee Rice has been awesome for the Chiefs. Like, even though there have been some issues and fun. Look, he has been a godsend. Can you imagine what this team would be like right now if he wasn't there? Could you imagine what this would look like?
Yeah.
I mean, no, he's been awesome. He deserves a lot of credit. And this is an offense that typically, like, it's always a problem with rookies, right? Like, he has more receiving yards as a rookie than Tyreek Hill had. Like, he's been awesome. And by the way, so just to support that stat, so he has, I believe, like 750 yards right now for the year. Tyreek had 6 something, but I want to pull up. So in the 2016 season, which was Tyreek Hill's rookie year, and I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying that. He's not going to be Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill had 61 catches on 83 targets for 593 yards, 6 touchdowns. Rice already has 7 touchdowns. So 61 catches on 83 targets, and Rashee Rice has 68 catches on 84 targets. I mean, he's been excellent. He's been really, really good. Is he going to be Tyreek Hill? No. Could he be a Pro Bowler at some point in his career? Yeah, he could. Like he's an excellent young receiver.
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's been excellent. Sorry, I got distracted by this clip of Will Levis getting his arm ripped off in the Titans game. That's a tough looking hit on Will Levis over there in Tennessee, who are wearing the Oilers uniforms today, which look fantastic, and they should just keep them. Yeah, I'm really excited about Rashee Rice, and he just could continue to get better. If there's any glimmer of hope that they have, it's that he just continues along being this reliable option, and that somebody else, anybody else, steps up to be a consistent number 2, and then they might actually have something. And I think next week, I mean, they won't do it, but they really should. Richie James and Justin Ross. Just swap out all the routes, all the Skyy Moore routes that you're running, all of those. You can keep having Watson do MVS routes. Get those 2 out there, see what they can do. You've got a schedule of games that you should win against backup quarterbacks. You're going against Aiden O'Connell, Jake Browning, who's been playing okay. And then the Chargers are just a complete tire fire at this point. So if you want to work some things out, now's the time. You know what you've got in those other guys. If it doesn't work out, you can always throw them back out there for their usual clown show. But why not? Why not take these last 3 games and see if you can get something from these guys? It's just, oh man, it's maddening. It's absolutely maddening.
Again, and look, again, like, okay, I gave my one rant for the dad. I don't have a second one in me, but like, look, as annoying as it is to watch these receivers, I'm not going to sit here and give the Chiefs a bunch of crap if they play Richie James and they play McCall Hardman when he's back, and like they just don't play any better. Look, that point, that's on the roster construction. It is what it is. Like, Andy's doing all he can. You deal with it. But on the point of all that, like Andy, at some point, look, you just got to stop playing these guys. I mean, there is no way around it. It's not like you can sit here and go, well, hey, they're performing to the best of their capabilities, and we got to ride them. They're not. They're not performing to the best of their capabilities. And early in the year, I was the first one. I'll throw my hand up and say, hey, look, I remember after the Detroit game, I kept saying, hey, Tony's not going to have another game like that. Moore's not going to have another game like that. You got to keep feeding them. Like, it hasn't worked out. They've had more games like that. Now you got to just kind of move on. And to Arthur's question, why didn't you guys mention Veach? Arthur, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I've not mentioned Veach a lot because the guy's done a phenomenal job. I mean, the guy's basically like on a Hall of Fame track as a GM. And they had another great draft, it looks like, or at least another good draft. Anyway, Rice and Morris, we'll see. Connor looks like he can play. By the way, Nick Jones, that was a hell of a tackle on special teams. But, like, I guess I'm not getting on Veach that much because I feel like at some point, like, you're human. You're not perfect. Like, and he drafted Rice. Like, he did draft Rashee Rice. Veach whiffed on the receivers this offseason. I don't think anybody would agree with that or disagree with that. I'm sorry. He whiffed on the at receiver. He didn't whiff totally. They brought in some very good defensive players, all the rest of it. But, yeah, I mean, I do think it's fair. I do think that it's fair to say Veach whiffed in free agency on the receivers. He didn't add much, and here you have it. Okay. I also think it's fair to say that everywhere else, I think he had a pretty good offseason. They drafted well. They had some nice signings on the defensive side. Menahu's been very good. Tranquil's been very good. Edwards has been good. Like, I think the biggest thing, the Juwan Taylor signing to this point looks like a train wreck. Fair enough. I think Veach in a private moment would tell you that. And with the receivers, look, they nailed the draft pick. They whiffed in free agency. I'm not going to sit here and crush a guy who I think has done a hell of a job. But, like, yes, obviously they did not do a nice job in free agency in evaluating these receivers.
We get a super chat from Jesus Perez. Verderame, he wants you to grade the left tackle play, Wanya Morris.
Also, before I do that, and I am going to do that, I don't know who's watching this Bears-Browns game. The Bears just dropped a Hail Mary right in Darnell Mooney's hands. By the way, I guess now he's future chief after that play. Ball hit. He was laying on the ground. I'm watching the replay of this. He's laying on the ground. The ball is on his stomach, and he dropped it and then kicked it up in the air, and it got picked off. Wow. I mean, that is crazy. That is crazy. I am sorry, guys. All right. As far as Wanya Morris, sure, absolutely. I thought he played well. I mean, obviously, I haven't been able to watch the film yet. I thought he was good in his run blocking. I thought overall he did a nice job. He gave up the 1 sack, and Uche is a good player. Okay, that's a guy it's tough to deal with. I thought on the whole, I thought he played well. Now, again, I'd like to go back and have the time to actually watch the film because sometimes you see some different things. I thought overall, very nice job. I mean, this is a kid who's, what is this, his second start? So third real action in a game. I thought he did a nice job.
Yeah. I just saw that play by Moody.
Unbelievable. Right in his gut. How did you not catch that?
Earlier in that game, Fields was running around and threw an absolute beauty to Robert Tonyan. And he just dropped it. It was wide open.
One of the nicest throws to see all year.
Yeah. Just, the Bears are, Fields has been up and down, but he certainly can't seem to catch a break sometime with his supporting cast. So
Houston just won on a walk-off 54-yard field goal on the final play of overtime.
Houston.
They beat him
in there
with Case Keenum.
Yeah.
They win.
Boy, you got a log jam now. Looking for that wild card spot. It's
19-16.
Yeah. Are the Bengals going to make the playoffs?
It's tough. They're going to lose a lot of breakers. I mean, that's why this Bills game's huge. By the way, I'm going to need you to just wax poetic about something here for a few minutes as I just got to bang out this. I got to update this little recap here.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so let's get to the defensive side of the ball and let us know what you think about how the defense played in the chat. I was very happy with. I know people started to freak out a little bit early in the game with the Patriots, but I really think once they got out of their scripted plays, once they ran out of tricks that the Chiefs weren't ready for, it was a lot. If you watched their game last week against the Steelers, it was very much the same thing. Zappy looked good in the first half, got a couple, passes to Hunter Henry, who nobody's worried about. All due respect to Hunter Henry. Nobody's worried about Hunter Henry beating them. And then in the second half, they just kind of fell apart. And it was the same in this game with the Chiefs defense. So if you look at the possessions in this game, in the first half, the Patriots get a touchdown, and then they get the interception. They were able to score. In the second half, I mean, the Chiefs pretty much shut them down. They had drives of that was the end of the half there, but they had, let's see, 1 play interception, 5 plays punt, 3 plays punt, 3 plays punt, 3 plays punt, 2 plays touchdown. That was after the Kadarius Tony disaster, and then 4 plays downs, and then it was over. So the Chiefs defense basically shut them out in this game, with the exception of 2 plays after the Kadarius Tony play, which was an 11-yard catch by Demario Douglas, and then Harris ran up the middle for 18 yards. We all know how the Chiefs' run defense is. But if you're looking for a little bit of a silver lining on the run defense, and I know they were going against Ezekiel Elliott in this game, but he had 11 carries for 25 yards. So the Chiefs did a good job of bottling him up, struggled a little bit with Hunter Henry, but that was pretty much it. They were all over Zappy in the second half of this game. Pulling up the box score here for you. They hit him 6 times. They had 5 pass defenses, 7 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks in this game. L'Jarius Sneed, another terrific game by him, 2 tackles for a loss. Justin Reed had a tackle for a loss. In the sack department, you got Noddy, who had a nice game. Jalen Watson. By the way, that Jalen Watson sack, if you go back and you watch that, he did a really nice job of anticipating Zappy spinning out of the sack. He didn't get too aggressive and then get olayed. If you watch, he came in, slowed his feet, made the play, got the sack. So that was a nice play by him. Drew Tranquil back in action, gets you a sack. And then Charles Omenihu with another sack. So terrific game for the Chiefs as they go in and they're going to be playing an inspired Raiders team next week. Get a couple more super chats to get to from AJ. You guys good at reading lips? If so, what did Mahomes say after the pick Tony dropped? I definitely saw a God damn it from him. And look, things are reaching a boiling point with Patrick Mahomes. When those kinds of plays happen, he'll look frustrated. He'll go over to the sideline. You might even see him slam his helmet, particularly if it was his fault. But this was a play where he threw a perfect ball, hit Tony in the hands. He bobbles it. You saw Pat throw his arms up on the field. And he's not the kind of guy, at least publicly, who's going to yell at his teammates like that. But he goes over to the bench, and he's just clearly frustrated in a game that they're winning because he's out there playing well, except for one mistake, and he just can't get any help. And so you do have to ask yourself at a certain point, is if you're Andy Reid, are you going to have a conversation with Patrick Mahomes and say, hey, listen, Patrick, what do you want to do here? Because if Mahomes really doesn't trust Kadarius Tony, if Mahomes is afraid to throw the ball to Kadarius Tony, that's not good for the Chiefs offense, and that's not good for Patrick Mahomes. Because what's going to happen is he's going to make more mistakes. Because he's going to pass up the plays that are there to try to make other plays, or he's going to hesitate, and that's going to lead to sacks, strip sacks, more interceptions. So I really do think it's on Andy Reid to go talk with Patrick Mahomes and be like, look, we've had a great partnership here, you and me. We've won a couple Super Bowls. Lock ourselves in a room. Who do you want to play with? And that's who we're playing with. That's what we're going with the rest of the way. I honestly do think it should be 100% Patrick's call. Would you agree, Verderame?
I would. Thank you. Appreciate the few minutes where I needed that. Yeah. I mean, he's the one throwing it to him. He's the one who's got to deal with this. I mean, let's be honest. And I know, I don't think it drives him crazy with statistics, but he's a competitor. I'm sure it drives him nuts. Some of these picks are just ridiculous. I mean, it's at some point, if you're the coach, whether you're Reid, even if you're Nagy, I mean, it's got to be a question of all right, Pat, I mean, who do you trust? Do you trust anybody outside of Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce? Because if you don't, maybe we go more 2 tight ends. Maybe we do some other things. I mean, I think at some juncture you do reach it is what it is. I mean, you've got to put out the guys. You got to put them on the field that have the trust of Mahomes. Otherwise, what are you doing? I mean, if he's not going to throw the ball to them, if he doesn't trust them, then there's no point, right? I mean, there's no point. So that is, in my eyes, where this thing has to go. You've got to start figuring out, okay, who is he willing to throw the ball to with some anticipation? Because if he's not willing to do that, then the guy's useless. I mean, you just can't play him.
Yeah.
So, yes, I totally agree.
They can't get in any kind of rhythm. Tone in the chat, Tone B says, he read Mahomes saying, we're not reporting this. This is a lip reading interpretation that Mahomes said every fucking time, man, after that play. Yeah, man. I mean, that was as visibly frustrated with a teammate as I can recall seeing him, because in general, he'll exhibit frustration, but there's no other way to interpret that situation. It was 100% Kadarius Tony's fault, and his frustration was 100% at Kadarius Tony. We talked about this, Verderame, after the last game. Would you cut him? Would you just say, you know what? You are literally doing more harm than good to our football team, and we're just going to take you out of the equation.
Well, if they cut him, it's obviously post June 1, they would eat whatever if they cut him before the year started, it'd be 4.4. So now it's, whatever the proration of that is. Next year is 2.5. I don't know if I'd cut him. I'd probably just sit him on the bench. I mean, I don't know you're going to have any ability to trade him, so maybe I'd cut him. I'll tell you who I would cut. I'd cut Skyy Moore. I'd cut Skyy Moore tonight. They would eat almost nothing in dead cap. They'd really save no money either. But next year they save 1.6 if they I'm sorry, excuse me. They wouldn't save any money, but they'd eat almost nothing if they cut him this year. Next year, if they were to cut him right now, they'd save $1.2 million next year and eat $467,000. Like, I mean, Chiefs fans will start a Kickstarter to pay the $467 in dead money, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I would cut him. I would cut him, and I would nail Tony to the bench. But I don't think they're gonna. They're just gonna keep playing these guys, and it's infuriating.
Derek Watson, thank you for the super chat, wants to know, at what point do you consider signing Deshaun Jackson? I assume that's what you mean, or God forbid, T.O. This is where we're at, Verderame.
T.O.
People are like, what's T.O. doing? Can he still play?
I mean, I'll tell you right now, Deshaun Jackson, I'd sign him tonight. And I don't even think he's got anything left. I'd still sign him. It's insane. I cannot remember on a good team. I can't remember. By the Bills, by the way, we're going to have to kick a field goal, and they just called roughing the passer on Dallas deep in the red zone. I just want to see, is this a decent call? This, he hit him kind of late. Allen also gets an Academy Award on that one, but he hit him late enough. I'm not going to, it's probably a call you're going to get. All right. Yeah. I mean, look, man, I don't know what you do. Like, this is the worst group of receivers on a good team I've seen in a long time. And this is like, you're completely incapable of playing football. Yeah. I mean, your basic job is what as a receiver? It's catch football.
It's in your name.
Can't do it. Like, just completely incapable. It's brutal.
What do you say to the people? And I saw a lot of this today who are like, one person literally said, I tweeted out a joke rankings of the Chiefs wide receivers. And of course, Kelce was at the top and Rashee Rice was second. And one guy said, Rashee Rice is better than Kelce. And I saw another person in the chat earlier say, Kelce's done. Can you talk those people off the ledge a little bit?
Kelce's not done. He's going to have 1,100 yards, over 100 catches. Like, come on. I mean, he's not done. It was a bad drop. It's a real bad drop. But it's not done. I mean, the guy's been double and tripled every play. Buffalo, by the way, touchdown. They just took half the quarter and scored. No, he's not done. I mean, he's 34 years old, and he looks like he's not 28 anymore. But, I mean, he's still a great player. He's still the best tight end in football by a pretty wide margin. Who are you taking over him? For all those people, who are you taking over him? Yeah. Who do you want? Because I bet you're going to have a real hard time coming up with the answer.
Yeah, and look, I mean, and we've talked about this on the show before too, this season a lot. That drop by him, it stinks, but it's everything that happens bad that goes wrong for the Chiefs offensively is so magnified because they have no margin for error. Correct. So, if this was last year and Kelce dropped that, you wouldn't be freaking out. You wouldn't be tweeting Kelce's done. You'd just be like, oh man, that's a tough one. You'd give Kelce the mulligan because he's Kelce. But this year, You're like, no, man, we need you to make every single play. Every single play. You can't ever fumble. You can't ever drop a pass. You can't ever run a bad route because we can't afford it. It's the same thing with the Mahomes interception. He shouldn't have thrown that ball. It was a bad decision. But it's in a game where Tony doesn't give the team an interception and where you don't have these stupid penalties and all these things, the Chiefs score 35 or 36 points. You don't care. You're like, oh yeah, Mahomes threw 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns in this game, and he threw 1 bad interception. Who gives a shit? But in this, if they're playing a good team in this game, they're in trouble. I mean, this is the thing. They're actually good enough that they had all these stupid things happen on the road against Bill Belichick, and they still won by 10 points. They still won by 10 points, and we're sitting here complaining in the postgame show. That's how messed up this team is right now.
It's really hard to watch them on offense and feel confident. I mean, it feels really, really, really hard watching this offense. Going, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good. I feel good about it. Like, I love the running backs. I love the maturation of Rice's point. Kelce's great. Got Mahomes, obviously. Like, as a unit, they don't have anybody at receiver who you feel confident in outside of Rice. Even Rice will drop balls and fumble the ball. I mean, it's just, again, at some point, like, it is incumbent on the head coach to just put his foot down and say it's enough, and you're not playing anymore. Make him inactive. Activate Washington, activate Justin Ross, and just make him inactive. This idea that they just can't do that is just bull. They can do it, but they won't do it because they just can't accept the fact these guys can't play. I don't want to hear, well, they look good in practice. I don't give a damn what he looks like in practice. Can't catch. I mean, it's a joke. They are incapable of doing the job asked of them. Stop playing them. And as far as Gonzo asking, my thoughts on Andy and Patrick's fines, they deserve to be fined. They whined about a call that was obviously correct. They deserve to be fined. And they knew they were going to get fined. They were fine with that, whatever. But, like, it was a correct call. Tony, again, can't stop beating the team and was egregiously in the neutral zone. And by the way, for every Chiefs fans, like, well, they only called against the Chiefs. No, they called it on Thursday night against the Chargers. Like, they call it. And it's been called, I believe, 9 times this year, 8 or 9 times. It's been called. So, like, look, at some point, you got to take accountability. And if you're the coach, you got to just put your foot down. Don't do it.
I will say that some of the people that talked about it not being called did have, and I'm not the Chiefs, it was on the Chiefs, but a lot of those calls this season have been on offensive linemen and it's only been a couple of times on receivers, but that's beside the point. He was still over the line. Actually, interesting question here, and thank you for the super chat from Michael Trigg. Is there anything outside the box the Chiefs can do to solve the wide receiver issue? Scheme? Should the tight ends get even more targets? I think that's what Andy's trying to do. Have you noticed the amount of screens that they're calling bubble screens?
They have to. They got to play like they did when they had Alex Smith.
You're right. Yeah.
None of these guys can get open worth the damn downfield, except for Watson, to his credit, who actually is pretty good route runner down the field. The rest of these guys can't do anything. Forget about it. So, no, I think you have to. You have to play like this. They don't have a choice. They have to play like this.
Yeah, I'm with you. And at a certain point, maybe that opens up something down the field for a guy like Watson or a guy like Kelce as they transition into this style of play. But there's really, running the football, taking care of the football, and being absolutely ruthlessly efficient. Tristan asked Patrick, your thoughts on Skyy Moore? I don't think he should play another snap for the Chiefs. And look, Skyy Moore seems like a nice kid. And I hope he figures it out, whether it's with the Chiefs or somebody else. But at this point, you have to go based on what you're seeing. And what you're seeing, look, he's a second-round pick. Rashee Rice is a second-round pick. There you go. That's all you need to know. One of them is a rookie and is going to have the most catches by a Chiefs wide receiver rookie ever. And the other one has regressed from his rookie season. When he's on the field and the ball gets thrown to him, bad things seem to happen. And that's when he's actually thrown to, because most of the time he's not open. So he's just not good. He's not good. Right now, he is not good. Maybe that changes. Maybe, we've seen guys.
There is a brawl in this Bills-Cowboys game right now. Some
Exactly.
guy, I honestly couldn't tell the number. Somebody on Buffalo came flying in when Prescott was giving himself up. And he didn't hit him. He went over him, to his credit. But, boy, that could have been a really ugly hit. I don't know what he was doing. It was Rapp. It was Taylor Rapp. It was a reserve safety for Buffalo. And to his credit, he didn't – I don't think – if he made contact, it was slight. But, boy, Dallas was, I think, justifiably pissed. I don't blame him. I mean, Rapp came in way late. And then Dallas wasn't having it. Now, I don't know. There's flags all over the place. I'm assuming it's offsetting, I would think, unless they just got Rapp. Anyway, I know we're talking about the Chiefs. But I just, all of a sudden, I looked over and there's a fist fight going on. There's a personal foul on Buffalo and a personal foul on Dallas. It's offsetting after the play. Okay, anyway. Sorry. I just saw like a 20-man brawl going on the sideline.
No worries. All right, so let's talk about the defense a little bit. L'Jarius Sneed with another stellar performance. If you're looking at keeping L'Jarius Sneed or letting Trey Smith walk, Who do you choose?
You're keeping him with Jerry Sneed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing at an all-pro level corner, and Trey Smith is a right guard who's a good player, but not like a Pro Bowl level player. Like I mean, the big question is going to be what are they doing with him and Chris Jones? And more as the year goes on, the more I'd say, look, I think the absolute highest Chris Jones, but I would keep Sneed at this point.
Yeah.
I would keep him. He's younger. He's not going to cost as much. I mean, that's what I would do. Now, I'm not going to sit and argue with anybody who says, hey, Jones is a first ballot Hall of Fame type player. Like, how could you say that? That's fine. I get that. But I because of the amount of money, because of the youth, and what seems to be an ascending player out of Sneed, I would keep him.
He's going to be preposterously expensive after this season.
But I mean, even let's say he is, right? So let's say he makes $20 million a year. That's still a lot less than Chris Jones is making.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a hell of a lot less. And I think they have something special with him and McDuffie. When you're that dominant on the outside and that versatile, because they can both play inside, they can both tackle, they can both blitz. Like, for my money, I would keep that together. I would keep that together. And I hate losing Jones, but like, I think you got more good years ahead out of Sneed than you do out of Chris Jones.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's give out some hardware here. Who earned their arrowheads? Let us know in the chat. You can do one player, you can do two, however many you want. Who earned arrowheads from you in this game? Verderame, why don't you kick us off?
Well, look, I think I'll go to the defensive side, and I'm going to take a guy who was not incredible in this game, but he was good. And it's kind of more of like a season-long thing. Leo Chenal's played really, really well. Really well. I was so impressed. Early in that game, it's 3rd and 1, and they brought him off the edge, and he's unblocked on a blitz. And a lot of guys would just put their heads down and just run as hard as they could and try to kill the quarterback. And Chenal recognized it's 3rd and 1. His ball's probably going to come out quick, and just put his hands up and knock the ball down. And it's a little thing, right? You look at a guy, okay, it's a pass defense. It killed the drive. Like, I think he's been great in this year's defense in so many different ways. So I know he's not the flashy guy. There's plenty of other guys who could point to, but I'll give it to him.
Yeah, and honorable mention to Mike Dana, who, if you saw, the Chiefs put out a video this week where they talked about cool. who was the most underrated player on the defense, and everybody was like, it's Mike Dana. He, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, he's always where he's supposed to be, always knows his assignment. He's a guy I hope they can find a way to bring back, because I think he's one of those just glue guys that really makes everything work. But as far as an arrowhead that I'm going to give out in this one, look, I'm going to go to the offensive side of the ball, and I'm going to give one to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not great. Jaw-dropping day from him on the ground. He only averaged 2.8 yards per carry. We talked about this on Thursday. This was a very good New England Patriots run defense. The Chiefs weren't trying to run very much at the beginning of the game at all. He did break off a couple nice runs here and there when the Chiefs did it, and then a lot of that was at the end of the game when they were just trying to run out the clock. But he also caught 4 balls for 64 yards in this game. Caught an incredible touchdown pass, had a 48-yard catch and run on 4 targets. Is Clyde Edwards suddenly living up to his draft stock? No. But he's showing that he's an NFL player. He belongs on the field. It's probably not going to be in Kansas City, but he's like a Damian Williams type of guy who can come in and do some nice things for you. And he bailed the Chiefs out in this game. They needed some help with Pacheco out, and they don't want to run Jerick McKinnon into the ground, which they did not. So I'm giving him an arrowhead. And then you got to give one to Rashee Rice, man. I mean, what would they do without Rashee Rice right now? Like, you think it's bad and ugly now? What if he has, instead of having a season like Skyy Moore did last year instead of what he's doing this year?
Yes. No, listen, it's been tremendous. Edwards-Helaire played great today. He has been great today. Or he was great today, I should say. I don't think you can ask any more out of what he's given them with Pacheco being out. Now, Pacheco might come back this week. That'd be great. But you got to give him a lot of credit. You've got to give him a lot of credit. For all, and God knows I've been one of the guys who's just been killing him. played very well. And so right now, I mean, your offense is being scotch taped together. And, Edwards-Helaire and Rice, and I mean, they've been the driving forces. I mean, they've had to be because nobody else can do anything.
So as we look ahead here, the Chiefs are now currently the 3 seed. There's obviously some games that need to play and need to happen. Baltimore is the 1, Miami is the 2. Those 2 play each other, I believe, next week. Is that correct? Or is that 2 weeks from now?
Baltimore next week is in San Francisco on Christmas night.
Oh, that's right. And Miami plays Dallas, right?
Dallas. Yes.
So those are 2, and then they play each other.
Correct.
So those are 2 huge games. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're rooting for, you're rooting for the other guys next week. If Baltimore and Miami both lose and then they play each other, you should be rooting for Miami because the Chiefs have the breaker against Miami. Right now, they do have a slightly better record than the Ravens in the conference. So, you're going to want Miami to take them down today.
I mean, right now for the Chiefs, I'll pull it up real quick. The New York Times is this thing that's actually pretty interesting. It's basically like a model of whether or not, how good your team is doing, and whether or not they can make the playoffs and stuff like that. So, like right now, for example, the Chiefs are 99% to win the division. They're 21% to get a bye, 11% to go to the Super Bowl. Okay, all those numbers are the highest in the AFC except for Baltimore. But so if Baltimore loses tonight, their chance at a bye week goes down to 36%. And so Kansas City would basically be like in a virtual heat with them. I mean, it's just one of those things where if you look at it, like you look and go, all right, well, the Chiefs have a real shot. But what they really need Jacksonville to win tonight. If Jacksonville wins tonight, the Chiefs have a very, very real shot. If they don't, it's not possible. It becomes harder.
As you look at the Chiefs' schedule here, they play on Christmas Day, they play on New Year's Eve, and then they play the husk of the Chargers, who might actually be in a better position now that Staley has been fired.
That might be true.
I mean, the Raiders certainly are a better team without Josh McDaniels. The Chiefs have games here. These are all games they should win.
Yes, they are. Now, whether they win them, God only knows. But yes, I agree with you.
You look at this Raiders team, they're still playing really hard for their interim coach.
Yes.
And you look at Cincinnati. Now, I don't know what's going on with Jamar Chase. I think he separated his shoulder. So we'll find out if he's, what they're going to do with him in a lost season. They may be a little bit more careful. But you got T. Higgins, who is, he's going to be a free agent, he hopes. And he is balling out. Jake Browning is not afraid to throw the ball down the field. Cincinnati is still showing some fight, and they're in the playoff race. Could you see the Chiefs drop in one of these games?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you said to me, Cowboys is 3-0 at Buffalo, do I think they'll lose a game? No. I will say this. Look, now maybe this comes back and it bites me in the ass. But here's how I honestly feel. I don't think they'll lose to the Raiders. I just don't. I don't think the Raiders are good enough to beat the Chiefs. And the Chargers are just – the Chiefs would almost have to donate that game to lose to them. I just don't see it. The Bengals game is the game you look at and go, hey, one thing about the Bengals, they're going to want to win that game. And they're fighting for a playoff spot. I mean, they're 8-6, and they got a winnable game this week against Pittsburgh. Like, they could very well be 9-6 going into that game. They are going to want to play. Browning's played well. If you said to me, do I think Kansas City wins? Yes. Is it possible they lose? Oh, yeah. So I think they will win out, but they scare the hell out of you. And so who the hell knows? Then 2 of the last 3 are at home, and the third game is essentially a home game because nobody goes to the Chargers games unless they're a road fan. I think the Chiefs will win out, but, is there a way they lose? Sure.
We had a great comment from Blake Jarvis in the chat. Raiders should just call their head coach their interim coach, and they'll end every season with a winning record. Pretty much every Raiders coach is an interim coach.
It's amazing, too. If you read, some of the stuff coming out of the Raiders beat, there's a lot of thought that Gruden might be the head coach again there.
I've heard that, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What? Why? Oh, I mean, as someone like if you're a Chiefs fan, my God, please, like make John Gruden the head coach again. It's just incredible. They just have no original thought at all. So yeah, bring him back. Okay, have fun.
Yeah, who did they do that with? There was another coach that they coached them like back in the 90s. They
Art
fired
Shell,
him.
they did it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they were Art Shell.
Yeah, Art Shell. So I'm going to do this probably every week for the rest of the season to you, Verderame, that you're on the show. Right now, as we sit here on what the hell day is it? It's December 17th, Sunday, December 17th, with 3 games to go. How does the Chiefs season end and where? Or when, I should say.
I think it ends in the AFC playoffs. It depends. If they are the 1 seed, which it could be, then maybe they find their way to the Super Bowl. If they're not that, I don't know. They lose in Baltimore, in the AFC title game. They lose to Buffalo. I mean, it's hard to have a lot of confidence that this team's going to rip off 3 or 4 games in a row. It's just hard. I mean, I will say this, though. I will add this. I know it's easy to just discount them right now. I would not discount this team. They're a championship team. They've won 2 out of the last 4. They're the best quarterback in the world. They got a really good defense. Like, nobody's lining up to play them.
Right.
Nobody's like, hey, you know who we want? The Chiefs. So, look, do I think they're going to win it all right now? No. Would I discount them being able to do it? No, I wouldn't. And I'll tell you right now, if you made me bet my mortgage, I think they probably I think they're more likely to get the Super Bowl than anybody else in the AFC. But with that said, I have a hard time picking them to just win a bunch of games right now. I got to see them play better, and they haven't played better.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think right now, and we'll just keep doing this. Right now, I still think they're going to make it to the AFC Championship game. But that's as far as I think they'll go, because I just don't think that they play sound enough football to win the close games that we've seen them win in the past, like last year, beating the Bengals and the AFC.
Right.
Like they're going to make too many mistakes. And that means even if they do get by a team like the Bills, if they run into them and get to the AFC Championship game, the idea that they're going to string together 2 games like that is hard to believe. It is a little bit different in the playoffs. Everyone's emptying the clip, and the Chiefs clip with Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid is a lot bigger than a lot of these other coaches.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, like I see, in the chat, Michael says your confidence doesn't matter. They're 4 or 5 plays away from being a 1-loss team. Yeah, hey, Michael, I got news for you. I mean, I'm also like 3 or 4 losses away at the blackjack table from buying a new car. But that's a problem with that. You lose enough times, you don't win money, right? Like, no offense, I'm not pointing it out at you in particular. I hate when people say that. It drives me nuts. Well, if this and if that and if this and if that, yeah, sure, great. That's great. But all those things happen because that's part of who they've been this year.
Right.
I mean, to sit there and be like, well, if they didn't have all those drops, they didn't have all those turnovers, and they didn't have all those penalties, they'd be the 1 seed. Oh, no kidding. I mean, if Baltimore didn't lose ridiculous games earlier in the year, if Buffalo could count to 11 and not 12, they wouldn't be in the position they're in. But guess what? They couldn't count to 11. And they made a bunch of mistakes. I mean, you could sit there and say it about every team. Buffalo could be undefeated if they stop beating themselves, but they've been doing it all year long. Nobody's saying that in this chat about them, right? Like, they are what they are. They are what they are until proven otherwise. I just finished saying, I'm not burying them. They could win the Super Bowl. But like to sit there and just be like, well, they didn't make all these mistakes, but that's who they've been.
Yeah. That's
who they've been this year. I mean, if Kadarius Tony could catch a pass, he'd be a good receiver, but he hasn't. So it's just what it is. Come on. I mean, and again, the AFC is wide open right now. That's the hope you hold on to. It's also the hope you hold on to that they're very good defensively. They got the quarterback, all the rest of it. But to just deny the fact that like this hasn't been a massive, overwhelming problem, of course it has. It's why they have 5 losses. They are 9-5. That indicates they have a lot of strengths. It also indicates they have some weaknesses. That's who they are. That's what they've been. This is where they sit.
Yeah, if I had more muscle mass, thicker hair, a stronger jaw, and straighter teeth, I'd be Bradley Cooper.
You're right there.
Right there, man. It is what it is. And you're right. We've got to judge them based on how they've been this year. And in previous years, they have taken better care of the football. They have been more fundamentally sound. And in those years, they've lost 3 or 4 games. This is not one of those years. So, it is what it is. Michael says, you have a big voice for the Chiefs and we need to turn this rhetoric around. No, see, listen, we're not the source.
It's not my job.
Right.
My job's to be honest about them.
Yeah.
I'm not a cheerleader. Yeah. I'm honest.
And we're not the source of the Chiefs' problems. We are reacting to the Chiefs' problems. If we sit here and say, hey, they're going to turn it around, don't worry, it'll all work out fine, that's not going to have any – that might make some of the fans feel better, but it's not going to make the Chiefs any better on the football field. That's going to come from them. And what we hope to do when you come here is that we provide you with unfiltered, straightforward, honest analysis of the team, our opinion, and then maybe makes you feel better because I know a lot of you are sitting at home right now after a win and you're annoyed at that, just like we are. So that's what we try to do here. But look, we appreciate it. As soon as they start playing well, if you've watched the show more than just today, you'll know we'll be the first ones to flip and start telling you where they could go because we know the talent that they have. So if they put together 3 games here where they stop turning the ball over, they stop getting stupid penalties, they catch the ball, they're efficient on offense, and they keep playing defense like they have been, I guarantee you Verderame will be sitting here before a playoff game saying, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
And again, I'm not paid to sit here and be a cheerleader. I'm paid to be honest. I mean, if you want to sit here and say, hey, look, be positive, wave pom-poms, talk to me about how great they are, go watch somebody else talk about the Chiefs. I'm not going to do that. If they play well, I'll give them all the props in the world. They're not playing well. They're not offensively. Now, defensively they are. Offensively, they're not. I mean, the standard for that team is the standard. It's the Super Bowl. It's not going to the divisional round. You want to talk about, if you want to change the standard to the divisional round, great. Let's all throw a party. But I tell you right now, if they're losing the divisional round, not one person's going to be in this chat going, hey, they had a great year. They didn't have a good year, not by their standards. 10 years ago, throw a parade if they win a playoff game.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
You
want it to change? Go tell them to play better. It's not my problem. I'm not out there dropping the ball. I'm not out there playing Skyy Moore left and right. I mean, I'm telling you what I see. That's it. Period. Play better.
And I will leave you with this. If you want a silver lining, you want something positive. They're going to win the AFC West.
Yes.
They're going to go to the playoffs. You get 4 more guaranteed games to watch Patrick Mahomes play football, to watch Travis Kelce play football, and to watch Andy Reid coach football. That's all you're guaranteed right now. But that's pretty damn good. There's a lot of fans out there who would bend over backwards to be in our position to get to watch these guys do what they do for 4 more weeks at least, and to have gone on the ride that we've gone with them for the last few years. And this is going to be a good football team for years to come. They're almost certainly going to be better next year than they are this year. So there's a lot of things to be happy about. And as we enter the holiday season, try to enjoy as much as you can. As grumpy as we all are about the way that they've been performing, there's a lot to like. There's a lot to be excited about. Wanya Morris, L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, Menahue, George Karlaftis coming along. There is a lot to be. Rashee Rice is a lot to be excited about.
Absolutely. Look, defensively, what else could you ask for defensively? I mean, they've been spectacular. How many bad games have they had this year defensively? 1 with the Packers? And even that game, they gave them a bunch of chances at the end to win it. I think, listen, the Chiefs defensively have been excellent. I think the Chiefs as a whole have been really good, except for these receivers, but the receivers are so bad, they're killing them.
Yeah. And that is the way it is. So listen, we'll be back next week. We'll have some shows for you. I don't think we're going to do a post-game show on Christmas because, it's Christmas.
I'm not doing a post-game show on Christmas right now.
But don't worry. We'll break it down all for you. We'll get you ready for the game, all that stuff. So we'll have some shows next week. But if we don't see you, please have a really Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever you're celebrating. If you're not celebrating anything at all, enjoy the rest of the football this weekend. And we will see you next week for some of our early week shows. For Matt Verderame, for producer Richard, and all the fellas, Matt Connor, Sterling Holmes from earlier in the day here. We appreciate all your support. Shout out to all of our members. We'll talk to you soon. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.